opportunity to best start and perfect finish. Opportunity. Opportunity is a privilege, a chance, and the best companion in life. The smart people know. When opportunity is given by those who care, it ought to be taken by those with a vision and a mission. Only the smart people know. Opportunity takes you places. Opportunity makes you rich. The smart people know. BSA, we are wise. BSA, we are smart. So, we will grab hold of every opportunity that comes our way. AICO opportunity. AICO, the bank that gives opportunity to humanity. Welcome. Welcome to Best Start Academy, the only school with a perfect finish. Thank you.
What a great way to kick off our evening of celebration with a warm welcome from our students in Ghana. Good evening, everyone. We're so thrilled that you could be part of our annual National Board of Governors meeting and celebration tonight. Thank you for joining us, and thanks be to God. Before we begin, I want to share a few quick housekeeping items. To the lower left of your screen, you'll see a mute button, and I would ask that you all keep muted while we're going. If you have questions, please write them down, or you can share them in the chat section, and we will be sure to address them later on. There also is a video button to the right of the mute button that you can use if you'd like to take yourself off of video at any point during the evening. For those of you I have not met, I'm Cassie Burns. I am a governor, and I'm co-chair of the Board of Governors with Carrie, who you'll meet in just a moment. I've had the pleasure of being involved with Opportunity for 20 years. My parents first became involved, I think, in 1998 or 1999. My mom led before me, and several of you I know who are on this call tonight have led the way, and I'm very, very grateful to be following in your footsteps. I'd like to take the opportunity to formally introduce our new co-chair, Carrie McAfoose, who is calling in tonight from Colorado. Carrie and I first met, she's from Minnesota. We went to the same high school and didn't know one another because I'm a little older, but we got to know each other traveling together in Rwanda, and then later had a trip to Okay. Looks like I was muted and now I'm unmuted. I guess I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you fine. Thanks.
Okay, good. Did you hear the rest of that?
Yes, we did on your trip to Rwanda.
Okay, good. It worried me for a minute. Anyway, Carrie and I have had the pleasure of traveling together with other women and men, and we have become dear, dear friends and are delighted to be able to co-partner. Before working with Carrie, I had the pleasure of working with Carol Polino, who's also become a dear friend through Opportunity. And so I hope this trend will continue, and that all of you who are on the call tonight will meet some of your closest friends also, if you haven't already, by being part of this Board of Governors group. So please help me welcome Carrie, and I'll turn it over to you, Carrie.
Thanks, Cassie. So I'm Carrie McAfoose. I'm so happy to meet those of you that I have not seen before. I see a lot of new faces on the call, and I see a lot of good friends on the call too. So hello. I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado, and I have been with Opportunity for about 7 years. When I went to Rwanda with Cassie, I was just astounded by the work of microfinance, and particularly with Opportunity International. Right when I returned to Denver, I immediately became a governor. I felt the work that Opportunity does is so important. I did that right away. And as Cassie mentioned, I've just joined her in being co-chair of the Board of Governors with her, which is so fun because it's a great excuse to see my friend in Minnesota while I'm a little removed over here in Colorado. And I'm just very happy to be of service in any way to anything that Opportunity needs from us, because I just, as you all know, because you're on the call, you're a Board of Governors, it's a great, great organization. Sorry, we're having a few technical difficulties, but we'll work through it. We'll get through all of this, I'm sure. So I was toggling through the pictures of all of our friends that are here on the phone tonight. I see that there's some new faces in the crowd. So I was going to share just a brief history of what the governors are at Opportunity and what they do. Our governors are a vital part of the Opportunity family. As a community of more than 600 like-minded, passionate individuals nationwide, we serve as local advocates and lead supporters of Opportunity's mission to lift families out of poverty. Governors help magnify Opportunity's work by raising awareness and educating our communities and our churches, our personal and professional networks about our mission. As the hands and feet of our organization, we could not do this transformational work without all of you on this call today. So thank you for being with us tonight as we celebrate really you and the impact of all that you've done for OI. Each governor's annual commitment, as you know, was $5,000 or more annually, which enables 10 families to grow their businesses and send their children to school. It gives a chance to build a sustainable livelihood and end the generational cycle of poverty forever. I found that in just 2019 and 2020 alone, the governor community contributed $15.3 million, which is helping, there's some big numbers here, which is helping 30,600 families work their way through poverty. And that's 153,000 lives changed. You on this call, all of our governor friends, 153,000 lives are changed because of you. And that is just so astounding to me. To give you context, that number fills 3 football stadiums. So we're doing great, great work. This year obviously looks really different. We're all sitting in our living rooms, staring at our computers. We're on a Zoom call. We're not able to be together in person, but I think it's still really fun and important to get to know each other in a different way. So in a moment, we put together something kind of fun tonight. In a moment, you're going to see a few questions pop up in your screen, one at a time. And so I ask that you please click the answer that best represents you. Great. So question 1, how long have you been part of Opportunity? 10 plus years, 5 to 10 years, 1 to 5 years, or I'm new. I'll give you guys a few seconds to fill it out. So excellent. It looks like we have a nice blend of longtime supporters and new supporters. Oh, and a few, yeah, wonderful. So those of you who have been involved for a while, we're so thankful for your continued support. I mean, there is need everywhere. And I know that you get asked for so much. And the fact that you spend your dollars and you donate to Opportunity is so important to us, and we can't thank you enough. You've not only shaped the Board of Governors, but many crucial opportunities initiatives over the past few years. And to our newcomers, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you in this community of philanthropists, and we'll hope that you continue to become more involved, as Cassie has, as I have, as many of you have already. Okay, so our next question, question 2, have you ever been to a national summit? The first is yes, more than once. B, yes, one time, or C, no, not yet. Wonderful. So the majority here, guys, more than once, 50% say yes, more than once. That, for those of you who haven't been to the summit, it's our largest annual event of Opportunity supporters. There's new members, there's members that have been with the organization for a long time. We all meet and listen to and learn about the new innovations and how they're changing the trajectory of extreme poverty. In fact, the 2020 summit took place last month. It was kind of interesting. It was the first virtual one that we've ever done. And we got very creative, and many of us had small little viewing parties. And as a matter of fact, we actually had more than 500 guests from around the country join the virtual summit, which was kind of cool. And at that big gala night, it's the end of the whole week, the culmination. We heard how opportunity can change the course of someone's life from William Kamkabwa. He is an inventor and New York Times bestselling author of The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. They also made a movie of it. The movie's fabulous if you haven't seen it. Put that in your Netflix queue. We had a week of education, fellowship, and inspiration. And I really, truly hope next year we're all together for the summit and we're able to be there in person. By answering our next question, you can help us develop next year's summit and future events. So the next question, if you had to pick your biggest area of interest, what would it be? Agriculture? Would it be education, technology or digital finance, innovation, or I love them all?
Yeah. Damn
That's how I answer too. I love them all. I love seeing everybody's answers and seeing what everybody was so near to everybody's heart. We will receive updates on ag and ed programs a little later in today's program. Let's move on to our next question. If you don't see your answer here, please do send it in the chat. Question 4, what do you like most about being a governor? The impact I can make on the lives of those in poverty, connecting with a network of like-minded people, being an opportunity insider, meaning having access to special speakers, exclusive updates, etc., or all of these reasons and more. So it kind of looks like a tie. The impact I can make on the lives of those in poverty, 50%. All these reasons and more at 41%. Wonderful. Of course, I do love all the reasons and more. I do have to say that OI has given me an opportunity to make some of the best friends that would have never met had I not gone on insight trips or traveled with them. In fact, I've now been on 4 insight trips. I started in Rwanda with Cassie. Then following that, I went to Colombia, India, and Uganda. And interestingly, in each trip, I've made a few very dear friends. And had I not found like-minded people that have the same heart and same interests, I would have never met them. So I really thank OI for that. And so if you're interested in going on an insight trip or even just getting deeply or more deeply involved in the organization in any way, please do contact our Board of Governors staff liaison, Sheila Ross. She's wonderful. Her email is sross@opportunity.org. Bet we can put that up later too. Okay, so the next question has only one right answer. So let's see how many of you know it. I bet most of you know it. How many years has Opportunity been around? 75 years, 50 years, or 25 years? You're all experts. You all knew. 50 years. That is right. So most of you already knew that. But next year in 2021, OI is going to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And we have a ton of fun and exciting things that will be in the dockets coming up. So please keep an eye out for those announcements. So we have a lot to celebrate this evening. Let's start with an update from our CEO, our wonderful CEO, Atul Tandon, on the state of the organization. I think most of you know Atul. For those of you who don't, you'll have to meet him. He's wonderful. I do want to tell you a little bit about him. Atul's deep commitment to those living in poverty was fueled by his experiences growing up in India. He saw his neighbors struggling to break the cycle of poverty, and he witnessed the power of opportunity that coupled with commitment and hard work in breaking that cycle. Atul then spent several decades in a successful career managing and scaling consumer banks in India, and then here in US with Citibank. After decades of successful growth, he reached a pivotal point and he asked himself, where do I go from here? Inspired by a call in Micah 6:8, Atul chose justice, mercy, and humility as his guiding principles. He pivoted from banking and began leading global humanitarian organizations, including World Vision, United Way, and lucky for us now, Opportunity International. I'm also excited to share that Atul was just named Life and News, or by Life and News, as the transformational leader of the year. When you hear what he's done since joining Opportunity, you will understand this is very much a well-deserved title. Atul's impact since joining Opportunity has been substantial. I'm primarily Atul's razor-sharp focus on eradicating deep extreme poverty. He's also been really striving for availability and affordability of education. Also, most recently, he launched Survive to Thrive initiative. Obviously, with COVID, things changed a bit this year for our clients, and Atul quickly and effectively changed the course to help our clients. So we were ensured to have clients in the future, and it's what he's done has just been phenomenal. So we're blessed to have Atul at the helm of our ship, and we're excited to have him here with us tonight. So without further ado, over to you, Atul.
Thank you, Carrie, and thanks for the introduction. Thanks so much. Thank you, Cassie, for both of you for who you are and what you do, for leading the Board of Governors, and to our staff for putting this now virtual event together. I wish we were in person. There are so many of you I would have loved to give hugs to, but now it is screen to screen and socially distant. But with that, I have to say, and I would like to, for all of us to kind of take a step back and reflect on really for us, this special group of people, for all of us on the staff to say thank you to you. You are a very special group of people, the Board of Governors. My team leaders, some of whom have served Opportunity for over 30 years, just before this call, I asked them, okay, when did we officially launch the Board of Governors? And the answer came back in, I think, a millisecond, 1987. So think about this, 1987, and today we are in 2020. 33 years, this community of people has fueled Opportunity's work and growth in some of the hardest places on the planet, in some of the toughest situations that anybody could encounter. You've been a constant. Thank you. Cassie talked about her mom, and in fact, her mom was one of the first people I met at an Opportunity conference. I think almost now 18 years back. At that time, she was the chair of the board. I have to point out and acknowledge and thank one of our most seasoned supporters who's on this conference today, M. Griffin. M goes right back to the beginning of Opportunity. Thank you, M, for being here, for being a supporter, and I have to say a lifelong one. So we stand on those shoulders of giants. You are here amongst us. This year is like no other. In our 50-year history, or I should say technically 49-year history, this year is like no other. In some ways, the need has never been greater, and I'll talk a bit about it. I also believe, and we can see in practice, that our solutions as well have never been more effective. So it's both that we live in this dichotomy of, okay, we have tremendous need. We can also see our solutions working. But in all this, I think what I'm reminded, in fact, one of the things that drew me to Opportunity when the board's call came was the fact that Opportunity's mission and its methods principally have stayed unchanged since its very founding 50 years back. And our mission, and let me read this, we envision a world in which all people have the opportunity to live a life free from poverty with dignity and purpose. A life free from poverty with dignity and purpose. And our job, and when I say our, I mean all of us here, our job has been fairly straightforward. It's not simple, it is straightforward. We believe that the means to give opportunity to build that life, everybody deserves both the financial resources they need, the skills they need, and the training that they need, and the support that they need. So that triad of solutions, of the right resources, the right training, the right support, is what we believe brought us here individually and will bring those we serve here, whichever condition they may be. And I think that story of Opportunities founding with the Al Whitaker giving the first loan to Carlos Moreno on the streets in Cali, and now just last year we had about $3 billion in loans outstanding. And if I'm reading the numbers correctly, about 17 million clients who we were serving, of whom about 7 million are loan clients and the rest 12 million were savings banks clients. So from that beginning till today, it's been that singular story. But that story, sadly, this year took a turn for the worse. From pretty much 1990, 3 years after the beginning of the Board of Governors, till this year, every year we have seen, all of us have seen, humanity has seen a reduction in the number of extremely poor families. About 1.9 billion people living on less than, at that time, $1 a day. And last year, 2019, we exited the world with about 683 million people living on less than $2 a day. Tremendous, and I personally believe this is the story of humanity's greatest success. If you would ask me, this is bigger than electricity, it's bigger than the internet, it's bigger than all of us, that we all got together for 30 years, have now seen a constant decline in people who didn't have enough money to be able to purchase food to survive that day, because that's what the $2 number means. How much money do you have to purchase the food you could survive that day? So it's this year, sadly, COVID-19 directly to blame and accountable for the global pandemic. This number is going to increase. We're going to be adding 100 million people more to the ranks of the extremely poor. You go up a notch and look at people who are living on about $3.50 a day, which is about the line of where poverty really starts to bite. That number will probably go up somewhere between 250 to 300 million people this year. Why? The answer is pretty simple. Marketplaces are closed. Our clients, almost all of them, are daily wage workers. They purchase what they need to do in the morning, either raw material or produce, go out in the marketplace, sell it, and they have earnings at the end of the day. So if there are movement restrictions, lockdowns, marketplaces are closed, theirs is not a life of inconvenience. It's a life of, whether you have enough money to buy food that day for the family. And you're sitting on the floor, what do you sit with? In addition to that, it's not only a food crisis and a hunger crisis and an income crisis. You now have schools closed. At the peak in August, 1 billion children who should have been in school were out of school. The direct impact, and it's almost tragic for me to say this, the direct impact, just the latest numbers that we have from sub-Saharan Africa, 1 million teenage girls, 1 million teenage girls have unwanted pregnancies since the beginning of COVID-19 and out of school. Per custom, those girls will not go back to school. So the crisis has devastated families. It'll take them years to dig out. It's in the process of devastating lives. We estimate about 30 million children in total will probably not return to school. Meal programs are closed, so you have malnutrition setting in. But in all this, it's what reminds us is, all right, in all our cases, God prepares us for a purpose and he sends us out to accomplish a mission. And I am honored to say that Opportunities, while our need has never been greater, our solutions have never been more wanted. Our Opportunities stood tall and strong with the people who we are called to serve. throughout the crisis, from the first day when the market started shutting down and the world started shutting down, we made a commitment that we will not shut down. We are an essential service. We have about 70 partners, institutions we work with directly and through partners in about 23 countries. I have to tell you that every one of our branches, all of the 26,000 staff who are employed in those institutions stayed at work. Branches stayed open. Payment systems were available. Deposits were taken. Loan moratoria were extended. Where needed, we made additional credit available in situations that I could recount many instances where our staff stepped in, and actually where there was just sheer food shortages, stepped in to make sure that food is available. So it's in that context. Our purpose was very simple. Our job is to make sure, well, we were sent to make sure we could help people build incomes by setting up businesses and lead better lives. But now our job became helping them survive. So it's in that continuity of surviving to thriving that we today live. And I believe will for the next few years. And one of you asked where your money is going and being put to work. I have to tell you, one, it's helping people survive today, so that they are able to have food on the floor and are able to be able to not only make ends meet, but are still able to have resources when the markets open, will be able to start rebuilding. Let me tell you a story of one of my most favorite clients. I've had the experience now to meet more than once. Some of you might have met her the year before last at the summit, Linda the baker from Accra. And Linda started with running a small bakery under a tree, proverbial and classical, went on with loans from Opportunity to run 2 bakeries. She was at the peak, had about 63 employees and somewhere about 8,000 loaves a day. And 80 women. You see some of the ladies here who are distributors selling those, her bread door to door and in street to street in Accra. Markets closed, lockdown happens, the bakeries are closed. She goes from 80 women distributors to 5. She goes from 63 employees to at the lowest tab had about 12. So I called her in the middle of this, and you'll see Linda's Bakery right there. I have to tell you sometime the story of meeting her for the first time. I called her to ask her how she was doing. And she said, we are doing fine. I'm still able to make ends meet, and I'm doing fine. I am making sure that all my 63 employees continue to have food on the table. In fact, she was running part of the bakery to bake enough bread to feed the 75 ladies who were out of work and the employees who were out of work. And she said, Atul, we're going to be able to survive this if we stick together. And my call to you really is to stick together. And I'll change, from Linda, I'll take you to the other side of the continent in Africa, to Uganda, where I had the great privilege of meeting Millie, coffee farmer, 5 acres, a widow, when her husband had left the farm, died early, 12 children, and didn't have much to live on or to survive. Got to know Opportunity. In few short years, in about 18 months time, our team got together with Millie. And when I met her, she had her coffee farm. She had doubled the yield in the farm by pruning techniques and better fertilizer, had become part of a local co-op that in fact Opportunity had started. And that co-op's job was to make sure that Millie could get the produce to the marketplace and the right price for that produce. So as a result of that, and simple things, right? Better resources that she had and the loans that she took, improved the yield. Let's make sure you get your produce to the market, and then let's make sure you get the right price for the produce. Those 3 ingredients, Millie had been able to put all of her children through school. She now has 14 grandchildren, and many of them with her on the farm. And I asked her, okay, Millie, what is it that we can do for you? So she, and if you want to put that photograph back, she got knit her brow and got upset with me. And she said, you've caused a problem. I said, what problem have I caused? What did I do? Look at the farm. She said, no, none of my children want to come back to the farm. My oldest fellow, he's now a doctor. You made him a doctor, now get him a clinic so he can come back home and look after me. So I said, Millie, you got a great problem to have. I hope all my clients have that same problem. But I'm always reminded of that story of Millie's story of now proud mom, proud grandma, standing tall on her own feet, and is at a point where she's not concerned about the future of her children. She's not concerned about how do they continue to do better. The school that you saw, the Best Start School, the video that the team shared with you just when we started, I had the great opportunity. In fact, that song probably was sung by the students while I was still there. In speaking with the proprietor, when she started with the opportunity, she had 4 classrooms, and if I remember right, about 40 children. By the time I met her a few years later into the process, they had 4 floors and 500 children. So on the one hand, we have got $3 billion with 17 million families, of whom 7 million clients, helping them build sustainable livelihoods, helping them start businesses, grow incomes, stand on their own 2 feet. On the other hand, well, how do you make sure that the children get educated? How do you make sure that the children have the skills that they need, the capacity that they need to be able to stand to better in life? Well, let's make sure they have education, good education close to their home. And in that process, about 10 years back, Opportunity launched our education finance program. In those 10 years, these are astronomical numbers. At the end of last year, we had about 3.6 million children who are actively being taught in close to about, if we have the numbers right, close to about 14,000 schools spread across 20 countries. Both the programs today into our Sustainable Livelihoods program, both rural and urban, and our education finance program, over this year, the COVID-19 probably have stood the test of the toughest test that any program of any kind could face. And I have to say that they have not only survived, but thrived. Our Sustainable Livelihoods, our loans and savings, and our training and support systems have helped families survive, and today, as markets are reopening, are starting to get those families to rebuild. Schools that we worked with last year, our simple effort was to make sure that the schools stayed open and were not closed, so that when the children could come back to school, the schools were available, the teachers were there, deployed everything from WhatsApp to Facebook Live to every other kinds of means to keep those students and the teachers engaged and the proprietors afloat. So as you look to opportunity over the last year, and as you look to opportunity now over the next few years, and I look to my own team to say, what is it that we are about? We are about helping our families that we serve survive today so they can thrive tomorrow. And in that regard is where I do believe this group of governors, in many ways, we say the best is yet to come. But today I can honestly say 33 years into your journeys with opportunity, many of you actually personally, for all of you as a group, the best is yet to come. We have never needed each other more than we have personally in our families over this last 9 months. The poor in the world have never needed each other more than they have in the last 9 months. And they've never needed us more than they have in the last 9 months and will in the next coming years. So I pray and hope that today, tomorrow, and the day after, even as you tend to those who are near you, to the loved ones near you, you will continue to make a place in your heart, in your minds, in your souls, for those who are far away, for those who don't have very much to lean on, in fact, hardly anybody to depend on. For them, it is those people you've provided a light and a hope and a dream. And I pray that dream and that hope and that light will burn forever. Thank you.
Atul, I always love hearing from you. I feel really inspired always by what you say. And it's interesting that you chose to speak about 2 people that are your favorite clients. And I'll keep this really brief, but on my first trip with OI to Rwanda, we met with this woman. Her name was Beata, and I imagine some of you guys on the call have probably met her. She was so outstanding, and she is the reason I'm so involved in this work, and I love this work so much. And I did not plan to talk about her, and I have the angel that this is one of her crafts. Her family was ravaged by the genocide, and she continued to persevere and employs all these people making these beautiful crafts that I just happen to have right next to me. And it sticks with me, and she's my favorite client. So thank you for sharing all that, Atul. And I do believe that many of you probably have a lot more questions now after hearing from Atul. We will have time for a question and answer in a little bit. So if you do have some questions, please jot them down now, and we will get to them later. Now, as you have heard, our governor community spans coast to coast, and many of you get involved and do all your unique and different things, and we appreciate it so much. Tonight, we're lucky enough to hear from 3 different individuals spanning from the West Coast to the East Coast, and hear a little bit about what they're doing. First, we're going to hear from Johanna Muhal on the West Coast. Take it away, Johanna.
Hello, and thank you so much to the Board of Governors and for the invitation to speak with you all today. I first learned about Opportunity International actually when I was a CABI stylist in 2017 with the phenomenal partnership that CABI and Opportunity International have together. And I also had the pleasure of hearing Atul speak to us at a national CABI event, which was very moving. And the mission really spoke to me almost immediately. And I knew that there was important work that was being done with Opportunity International. So fast forward to the fall of 2019, and I connected through just, God's work. I connected with Isabel Finney, the Vice President of Philanthropy in Northern California for Opportunity International, and her passion was just simply contagious. We met for lunch, and she just is so committed and understood how opportunity changes lives by giving people a chance to create income and educate their children. And she, I left that meeting with her in the fall of 2019, agreeing to lead a new idea or a new concept for opportunity in the United States, and that's called Donor Trust Group. So she asked me, and I said, yes, I can do that enthusiastically. So let me tell you a little bit about what a Donor Trust Group is. It's a pilot program that Opportunity has launched, and the concept is that a group of individuals or families agree to get together and they pool their donations. And they pool their donations with the idea that as a whole sum, a collection of money together, that they can make a big change in a particular project that Opportunity has earmarked that there is a great need. And we, while the group size of a donor trust group or the donation configuration could vary, the basic concept is the ask is $150,000 Valley. So we called ourselves the Silicon Valley Donor Trust Group. And while we're the first one in the United States, we had some others in Canada that were some inspiration to us. And we met in the 3 months between November of 2019 and February of 2020, we met, and at that end of February, we pledged our group, started our group, and launched with a celebration of our So we had lots of big plans about getting together in person, but our enthusiasm hasn't been dampened by COVID. We still are connecting through our private Facebook group. We also meet on Zoom meetings like this and try to connect. And we look forward to the day that we can break bread again together and have some socials and watch our children play and talk about our dreams for Malawi. Our hope is that in 2022 or 2023, we will take our children and families to Malawi to see the work, what our work has done or what our donations have done for this area. And I will welcome anybody. I'm here as a Donor Trust Group pilot lead, but I'm also here to inspire you to start your own Donor Trust Group. And I'm happy to help with any suggestions about what that could look or feel like for you. And please get in contact with me. There are many possible looks and feels to a Donor Trust Group. It could be a group of friends of yours from church. It could be a group of retired empty nesters who want to make a change. It could be a group of cousins from across the United States who come in and decide to do something amazing and sponsor a project by opportunity. I feel so fortunate to be able to share this with you. I'm hopefully you'll get some of that more information and reach out. Certainly, I look forward to the experience of sharing this philanthropy with my own Donor Trust Group and my husband and my son, who was really my inspiration. I felt like it was an investment in him, in teaching him about philanthropy, and also to honor my mom's legacy of philanthropy that she left me with prior to her passing. And I want to say a special shout out to my dad, who is here tonight and joining the Board of Governors meeting for the first time. And he's my biggest champion and loving supporter. So everything that all that enthusiasm I get from my mom and dad. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Johanna. I think it's brilliant what you've done. I think we are definitely going to have to bring that to Denver and do a Donor Trust Group as well. So now we're going to move more to the center of the country, and we're going to hear from our friend Caroline McMorrow now.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. And thank you everyone for inviting me to speak tonight. A few years back, my lovely friend Jen Chervany here in Denver invited me to a luncheon for Opportunity, and I was not aware of the organization at all. So it was really eye-opening for me. She followed up a few years later, and in 2019 asked me to come to an event that Carrie McAfoos actually spoke at, along with many of the people she traveled with to India. And I think it took all of about 3 days for me to leave that event and contact Carrie and say, I want to be on that next trip. I was so excited about what Opportunity was doing. My husband and I had been involved in Denver for over a decade with a nonprofit that introduced entrepreneurism and basic business skills to at-risk youth. So Opportunity was a perfect connection to take that local and make it a worldwide gesture for us. So I went to Uganda with Carrie and a group of wonderful women. And it was a life-changing experience. I went in February of this year, which feels like a lifetime ago. And as I always tell people, when I came back, my needle moved. The needle, you've got these events in your life that change who you are. And some of them are moving to a new city or losing a loved one, having your first child. This was one of those for me. The needle moved. I couldn't believe the people I met in Uganda, the farmers, the educators, the artisans, along with the amazing people who worked at Opportunity, Tanae and his amazing wife, Gail, Alice, John. I was so inspired. I came back, and I think anybody who would listen, I just wouldn't stop talking about this experience in this organization. So I was actually really excited when the summit was offered on in a virtual format, because it gave me an opportunity to host people in my home, outdoors on our patio. I pulled together a PowerPoint presentation of my trip and explained that, but not only could I explain the trip, I could actually introduce them also to Opportunity and what Opportunity does in a much broader picture. So I think I really captured an audience of about 20 people who hopefully will continue to follow Opportunity on this journey with me. My real hope is that we can have a gala in 2021. It's perfect that it's the 50th anniversary of Opportunity. I'd love to go to the summit myself. I really hope that takes place. I'm optimistic that it will, and hope that I can bring other people with me from this Denver community. So thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm so glad that you did call me. Caroline's lives in Denver here with me, and it's kind of cool. This is another example of a very good friend I have through this organization. Our trip to Uganda was fantastic. I feel really thankful, actually, that we are able to travel and go and have that grand experience now that we're all stuck in our homes for the foreseeable future. So thank you for that, Caroline. Now we're going to get to move to the East Coast, and we're going to meet Valeria Pacheco Ruby, and she's going to share with us all the cool stuff she's doing on the East Coast.
Thank you, Carrie. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to share with you all my journey of advocacy for opportunity. I learned about opportunity during a trip to my home country, Nicaragua, in the spring of 2016, where I had the chance to meet the local leadership. But I will never forget the passion and the commitment that I heard from the executive director when sharing the stories of transformation and empowerment of so many Nicaraguans living in extreme poverty. So I was so inspired that in 2 months, I was back in Nicaragua, getting the tour of all the projects. But I guess God wasn't done showing me all his work. So in 2019, I was back on a plane, now to Africa, for an opportunity insight trip in Uganda, where I met my friends Sheila Ross and Atul Tandon. I asked myself, what was the purpose of this journey or the trip? And in a few days after my return, a note from Atul invited me to walk this journey together and help open a chapter of supporters in Atlanta. I will not deny I was a bit nervous about the request, but it's one of those moments in life that you realize that we are called to do bigger things. I meditated on what I could offer to make this happen, and the response was clear. I've been blessed with a strong professional network of businesses, corporations, and individuals in Atlanta that I have built throughout my career. So I started planting the seed among them about the work of opportunity and what they deliver through the innovative financial solutions to help families build a sustainable livelihood and break the cycle of poverty. This gave way to motivate a group of champions that opened up the doors for opportunity to do a big event in 2020 with the support of the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and UPS. So then the pandemic hit and we had to put that on hold. However, this hasn't stopped my efforts to keep on going. But to adapt under the new circumstances, I just had to work creatively with the staff. Some of my plans for the next month are to connect opportunity with potential US buyers for the yucca flower product in Nicaragua and the coffee from the farmers in Uganda. Also, I'm moving around all the links for the donation for the different programs within my network. Last but not least, I will solidify the plans for an event in fall of 2021 for Opportunity Nicaragua in partnership with a local organization. I want you to understand how much I appreciate the work that the staff is doing because I am Opportunity International. I come from Nicaragua and I am the image of someone giving me a chance to be someone in life, someone giving me that opportunity. So I want to thank you, all of you, for being here. And I will leave you with this message. For those who already help in this journey and are with opportunity, I want to encourage you to continue our work to help our opportunity partners who need us more than ever. And for those who are new, I invite you to believe in the power of love and kindness that is within you to transform life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valeria. It's so wonderful to hear your passion for what you're doing to help OI, and we thank you so much. So please reach out to us if you have questions about how you can engage your own networks in your own communities, or even if you want to share your story. We love to hear your stories, like we got to hear some of our governors tonight. Now, as you know, obviously this year has been the worst, most challenging year we've had in our history. And for those who are living in extreme poverty, it's far worse, as Atul very clearly and outlined for us. But Opportunity has continued to adapt and innovate in order to serve our clients. Many of you have joined us for webinars and meetings this year, so you understand and you've learned about that, and you have a sense of what's going on with our programs. But we do want to get the latest and greatest from our program experts around the globe about what currently we're doing to fight COVID-19. It's the middle of the night in a lot of these places, so we didn't want to ask too much of our partners. So they prepared some videos for us. First, we're going to start from Tim Strong, the head of Agriculture or Finance.
Greetings all, my name is Tim Strong and I serve Opportunity International as our head of agricultural finance. I'm joining you all today from Nchalo, Malawi, which is in the southern tip of the country, roughly about 7 hours south of the capital city, Lilongwe. It is a very warm 118 degrees Fahrenheit today, where I'm standing here within much of the sugarcane that's being grown by some of the cooperatives that we support within the farming communities down here. For us, 2020 has been a very unique year with a lot of unique challenges and uncertainty. As many of you have heard, we've been pursuing the line of survive to thrive. And I think in many ways, the cooperatives that we have been supporting and partnering with for this very sugarcane are a perfect example of surviving to thrive. Through your support and their ongoing energy, diligence, and resilience, the farmers here are now seeing their sugarcane even being processed and on the shelves in the U.S., being sold under Trader Joe's and Costco this year. In many ways, our agricultural finance program believes in the philosophy of rural prosperity. These same cooperatives are a hallmark of this philosophy for us, of this approach, of this vision. Even the news I found out today that one of the cooperatives that we're supporting here has just successfully become a pillar of not just economic development in the community, but also public health, where they've just put up their own private clinic and their own ambulance this year to be able to support the members of their own communities. For us as a program, we have continued to grow throughout the lockdown, throughout the shutdown, and the economic crisis of COVID-19. In many ways, this is directly a measure of your support and your diligence to continue to stay faithful with our mission and our calling. Over this last year, we have more than tripled our regional staff. We have doubled the number of farmer support agents that are equipped with smartphones and serving the farmers alongside the financial services that we're providing them. We've also laid the foundation in the next period to be able to increase our financial institution partners by over 50% in the next period. So from our side, we are absolutely enthused, could not be more grateful for the ongoing support of many members and the community around Opportunity International, like the governors, like yourselves on the call today. We continue to draw inspiration from the farmers that we serve. One of the proverbs that many of the farmers here use is a phrase in Chichewa that says, "Mera ndi poyamba." It's usually actually an expression used to discipline a misbehaving child, but at the end of the day, it means mera is the seedling of a crop, and mpayamba means first. So the expression means the seedling first, and the idea is that you can see the way that a person, a youth, a crop will grow to harvest by how it is when it's planted. So for us, we are immensely grateful for the ongoing belief in terms of the seed of agricultural finance that was planted, and now as we're continuing to grow and to bear fruit, to really demonstrate the impact that your investments have made. I cannot wait to join you all in person again once travel restrictions have lifted, and I pray that this event continues to be inspirational, and we look forward to being able to speak to you again. Thank you all.
The work that Tim and his team are doing is absolutely crucial as sub-Saharan Africa faces alarming rates of hunger and malnutrition due to the pandemic. He seems so happy and so grateful and so smiling. And again, that's because of all of the governors and all that you've done to help Tim and all the work that he's done. We're going to move now to, we're going to now visit a farm that we saw a few weeks back. So if you have seen this video, it's fantastic. If you haven't, we're just going to play it quickly for you.
Zikomo kwambiri ine mpata uno dzina langa ndine Frank Jekta monga mmene mwamvera kale ndikupereka moni kwa abale athu.
Ine ndikupereka kuti zikomo ine ndine Frank Jekta ndikupereka moniso pale ndathu amene mwabwera kani.
Ndizofunika matraining yo kuti anthu aziphunzitsidwa cholinga kuti azindikire mosavuta nkhani ya matenda amenewo.
Ndifuna kufunsa for yourself, what is your vision for, what gives you hope for the future?
Masomphenya athu alivone kuti pamene tili pano tifuna tidasuntha. Kusuntha kwake ndikuti timafunira kongati paja wabwera lubaja pagali moto osatuka angoenda basi.
Amene kwa America kawiseni ali ndi ufulu ali omasuka ubwera udzacheza nafe ife ngati abale wawo. Ife ndife chilengedwe chimodzi kwakuti tikhoza kukhala okondwera kwambiri aku America atabwera kuno kwathu chifukwa pali kale ubale umene umachitika. Wani timaphunzitsidwa zinthu zochuluka mwachitsanzo mabzalidwe amakono kumbuyoku timangolimapo komano chifukwa cha maphunziro amene tumapanga ndi abale athu inu mulipo mpano ndiye kuti tayambopindula kusiyana ndi mmene tinkakololera kumbuyo. Komanso tazindikirapo zinthu zina mwachitsanzo kuti munthu ukhale ndi thupi la thanzi kuyenera kuti udzilima mbewu zosiyanasiyana monga za mgulu la nyemba ngati soya, nyemba ndi zina zotero zimene munthu uyenera uzilima cholinga kuti uzikwanitsa zakudya za magulu 6 mosavuta komanso thupi kuti lizikhala ndi mphamvu.
We would love to visit them in Malawi. I will definitely take him up on that invitation. I do love hearing people share their dreams. Next, let's turn to one of our other good friends at OI, Andrew McCusker. He is the head of education finance.
Hi everyone, it's Andrew McCusker, the head of the Education Finance Program. I'm filming from Lusaka in Zambia, where we've been doing a little bit of a roadshow with financial institutions over the last few weeks. It's a pity that we can't be there in person with you in the US this year. And so as many of you will be aware, in March and April this year, schools around the world were closed. At worst case in May, about 90% of schools around the world were shut temporarily as a result of COVID restrictions. This put heaps of pressure on our financial institution partners, on the school leaders themselves, on the teachers, parents, and ultimately on the students in the schools. The good news is that over the last few months in most of our key markets, we've started to see schools begin to at least partially reopen, in some cases fully, and when not fully, there are plans to reopen in all of our markets or in most of our markets over the next few months, which is really encouraging for us. I think one of the things that has surprised me, certainly over the last few weeks as we've been talking to potential new financial institutions here in Zambia, is that there still is loads of demand for school lending as conditions begin to normalise. The great thing about Zambia over the last couple of weeks that we've learned is that there's still plenty of demand, and it's largely been driven by demographic things that in addition or outside of COVID, in that financial institutions are looking through the short-term impact of schools closures. I think one of the great things that we've seen is financial institutions beginning to offer working capital loan facilities to the schools to support them in retaining their teacher workforce and preparing for schools to reopen as they do over the next few months. looking ahead into next year, we still have a pretty strong pipeline of new financial institution partners to work with in new countries. So I'd like to thank you all for your support and continued interest in our program. I'm certainly really excited about coming out of COVID, as Atul would say, stronger on the other side. We're really well positioned, and it's with the support of all of you that we're very grateful. And so I think Renee is going to talk a little bit about the Education Quality Program and some of the ways in which the schools have been responding. So I'll leave it to Renee. Speak soon. Bye.
Hello, my name is Renee McAlpin. I'm the Global Education Quality Manager for Opportunity Edu Finance. The work that we do and my team of 33 people across 8 countries work directly with school leaders and teachers to help them improve the quality of their institutions. Because our program was primarily in person, we had to make massive changes in March when over 90% of the world's schools closed suddenly overnight with very little warning. So our completely in-person program had to move digital. What we did is we used existing infrastructure, so Facebook, WhatsApp, phone calls, SMS, things that school leaders and teachers were already familiar with. They were under an enormous amount of personal and professional pressure, and we felt meeting them at where they're at was the best way to go. We reevaluated our strategy every 4 to 6 weeks. And what we focused on was, supporting school leaders keep their businesses running. So thinking about their cash burn rate and cash runway, how their resources will last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months if this goes that long, which we're seeing in many places it might. How do they, engage with teachers with whom they might not be able to pay, and how do they keep those teachers occupied and willing to come back when schools reopen? How do they engage with their client, their customer, the parents and the students that they serve? How do they keep them engaged during this time, and how do they mitigate learning loss as much as possible? And so we developed new content on a week-by-week basis, covering these key areas, and delivering directly to school leaders and teachers through the multiple channels I mentioned. So Facebook, WhatsApp, phone calls, SMS, by our team of skilled and dedicated education specialists who were now all working at home when they used to spend 80% of their time in the field traveling to schools. So not only was it a new way of operating for all of our clients, but a new way of operating for ourselves. And what are we thinking about going forward? Well, we know the recovery is going to take a very long time. It could take years to mitigate the learning loss, to mobilize kids back into school, to make up for everything that's been lost. The education sector, I think, only next to tourism and hospitality has been hit greater than any other sector. Some studies show that children have been set back several years. So when they do return to school, teachers and school leaders need to know how to support them effectively, because not only will their learning and academics have been impacted, but also the psychosocial impact of being separated from those environments for so long. So that's a big focus for us going forward as schools begin to reopen, and helping schools stay sustainable. We've already seen some really great examples of school leaders thinking outside the box and creating new businesses, using their schools as venues, socially safe venues. So renting their premises, feeding their communities, making and selling hand sanitizer, opening up mobile money branches, all sorts of really, really, really creative things. We're very committed at Opportunity to that recovery, and we know it's going to take a long time. It is indeed a marathon, not a sprint. And we're really thankful for your support, particularly because we couldn't do this without you, and we'll need you there with us through the long haul. So thank you very much. Here in sunny Kampala, Uganda, I hope to be able to see you all soon in person.
We are certainly there with them. There's no doubt. It was great to get those school updates. It's really incredible how creative they've been and how quickly they accomplish change, and they're responding to the exact needs of their clients. It's really astounding. So now that you've heard more about what's going on in Opportunity in the communities that we serve, we we're going to kind of move this along. We really want to respect your time. We're going to skip the Q&A session. Where it's a little bit after 7 o'clock your time, or after the hour. So I'm going to now just move over to Cassie. Cassie has a few words for you.
Thank you, Carrie, and wonderful job to everybody who spoke tonight. Thank you so much. I hope you all feel like I do, that even though we are miles apart and around the world, we are a very close community. And I know I feel the warmth of all of you and of all of our staff, 26,000 people around the world dedicated to understanding and anticipating the needs of our clients and finding solutions to meet them in a time like now, real time, and in very innovative ways. So I think, as you heard Atul say, 2020 has been a trying time for all of us, individually, as a community. But history has proven that in times of crisis like this, the poor get hit the hardest. And we know that to be true. And we've seen that. And as we approach Thanksgiving as a community of governors, we have so much to be thankful for: our health, our community, food on the table, warm places to sleep, and beds, and a whole number of things that our resilient clients don't have. So as a community of governors, and through all of the support of you and other donors, Opportunity has been able to ensure that our clients and partners have the resources they need to survive this crisis, and they will. But there's so much more work to be done. Our clients and partners need us now more than they ever have before, as Atul said. So if you've already given in 2020, which many of you have, you've been loyal and dedicated supporters for years, we thank you. Your generosity has enabled us to pivot, to become financial first responders, and to be there for our clients when they need us most. If you are a governor and you haven't made a gift in 2020, we invite you to continue your partnership. Please stay a part of this community. And as Jen invited Caroline, who you heard earlier, and so many of us were invited by others, please include your friends, share with them the wonderful work that's being done. As we grow this community, we will be able to help more and more people. And so by both growing the number of supporters and increasing each of our individual support, that is how we will make the greatest impact. So most of you give in all different ways, but if you'd like to make a gift tonight, if you're inspired to do so, you can do it online at opportunity.org/donate. And if you are not a governor yet, we welcome you. We would love to have you be a part of our group. And hopefully we'll all have a chance to meet with one another in person and at a gala celebrating our 50-year celebration next year. But if you want to become a governor with an annual pledge of $5,000 or more, you will impact 10 families by helping them survive today and thrive again tomorrow. Together, we'll create opportunities for families living in some of the toughest regions of the world to build sustainable livelihoods and leave poverty behind. We are transforming lives and communities, and it's the best possible feeling. So thank you, thank you. It's a privilege to be a part of this community. I'm grateful to Atul and all of the staff who are responsible for putting this together. It was a great deal of work. And to all of you for joining us and staying with us this evening.
Thank you, Cassie, my friend, and thank you for all of my friends joining us here tonight. I know we get invited to many, many virtual Zoom functions, and I thank you, deeply thank you for taking the time and spending an hour plus with us this evening. As we close, I hope you walk away with a strong sense of how our Board of Governors has helped shape many of Opportunity's programs and initiatives over the years. Your feedback on how we can enhance your experience as a governor is critical to making the community that we all benefit from. So I'd love for you to take a few minutes today, tomorrow, to give us our thoughts in the membership survey. We'll also send you a link in your email tomorrow. Thank you for your participation in advance. And for anybody that would like to stay on and has a few extra minutes at the end of our call, our friend, Pastor Emily Hamilton from Christ Presbyterian Church in Minnesota, will lead us in a short prayer time where we can pray over a few requests from our staff and clients. So please hang tight for a moment if you're able to. If you're not, the rest of you, thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening tonight. Please reach out anytime. I would love to hear from you. If you ever have any thoughts, ideas, recommendations, or just stories, I would love to connect with you and become friends with you. Everyone have a good, wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks.
Okay, are we going to transition to Emily now? Not sure where Emily, oh, I see Emily now. Okay.
Sure, I can go ahead and jump in.
Okay, Emily, thank you so much for joining us from our 30-year church partner here in Minnesota, Christ Presbyterian Church. And we just didn't want to end the evening without having some time to really just lift up our cares and concerns for our clients to the Lord. So Emily, thank you for leading us in this time of prayer. And thank you for all of you who can stay on and join us.
Thanks for inviting me to be part of it. It's been so fun to hear the stories, and thank you all for just joining in this moment to pray. One of the passages I've been reading a lot over the last few days and weeks has been from Isaiah chapter 40. And there's this line in there where it's talking about God's power and how God calls out each star by name. And because of his power and might, not one is missing. And I love that image of God, God's power and might attending to all the details. And so as we think about all of the OI clients and field offices and programs, I love imagining God and his power overseeing all of the details. So I would just invite you to pray with that mindset as we close together. So would you join me in a word of prayer together? God, you are the one who created the stars, who knows each one by name. And we lift before you now the names and the faces of opportunity clients. You know each one. You know each farmer, you know each laborer, each educator, each artisan, each small business owner all around the world. You are the God of power and might, and because of your great love, we know that all of these people, all of their faces are seen and known by you. And we ask that in this time of great trial for our whole world, COVID-19 and all of its ripple effects, we pray that you would be their hope. Pray that you would provide for their needs, that you would sustain them with the material resources and the emotional and spiritual resilience for the months ahead. Lord, we also pray for those who are working with opportunity all over the world, for the field staff, for group leaders, program directors, project managers. Lord, in your mercy, fill them with resilience as well for these challenging times. Give them imagination and creativity as they face the compounding challenges of poverty alleviation in this season. Pour out your wisdom upon them and let them know how deeply loved they are by you, so that they may in turn live that love towards those that they lead and serve. Pray that you would give them eyes to see others with love, even as they are seen by you in love. And Lord, we thank you for opportunity supporters on this call and across the country and across the world. And we just ask that out of the generosity of your grace, you would continue to inspire generosity in others to join this movement. May you continue to work in our hearts, transformation and love and care, and eyes to see not only the needs of the world, but our own need for you as we step into the mission that you have for us. Continue to change us as we seek to bring the change that we want to see to the world. We pray all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Emily.
Amen.
Emily, I was remiss. I wanted to say a few words about Emily, and I'm so sorry. I was remiss to do it before you said your prayer. That was so beautiful. Again, Emily was pastor of the Christ Presbyterian Church in Edina, Minnesota. She spent 2.5 years in the Congo, which incredible, doing mission work before joining CPC. Emily's from Louisiana. She loves to cook and eat gumbo, jambalaya, and etouffee. I do not know what that is, Emily.
You pronounced it perfectly.
I had a little note here. They told me how to do it. She loves traveling with her husband, Kyle. Emily earned her Master of Divinity from Duke, and she joined the CPC staff in 2018. And so, Emily, I'm sorry I didn't do that before your gorgeous prayer, but I just want to really thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And blessings upon you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks so much for
Thanks,
joining us.
everybody. Thank you for
Happy
joining.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Nice to
Blessings. Have a
see
wonderful
everyone.
evening.
Blessings.